What I have here is a cup of dates. Dates is the key ingredient to sticky toffee pudding. So we've got some dates, we've got a 1/4 cup of oil, and I've got a pinch of cinnamon in there.
This is all oil ama na maji?
No, namaji.
Okay,
Namaji.
okay.
Maji. So about a 1/4 cup of maji, you can see the oil is just floating on top there. And we've got some dates. And what I'm going to do is, now this is something that you can opt to mix sideways, but I just like to mix my sugar in that as well.
Itakuwa sweet.
Itakuwa sweet because of the dates and whatnot.
Yeah,
Now
but
this
is more natural.
More natural sweetness, exactly. So I'm just gonna basically put 2 tablespoons of sugar. Why? Because there's a lot more sweetness that's gonna come into this. And then what I'm gonna do is, because of the oil and the little bit of water, and you know, I'm gonna give this a little bit of a blend. So I'm gonna blend this, and it's gonna become this nice creamy texture, and not too much because you still want those chunks of dates in there. Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and blend this, and chef, you can start with yours.
Okay. So before you start blending that, we're gonna season the meat.
Okay.
And what we want to do is just use salt and pepper, basic stuff. So using a pulp. You're just blitzing, huh?
Yep, just blitzing. So this is basically the consistency we are looking for. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. And it's a thick paste. Now the reason I want it like this is because we're gonna add some egg in there, which is gonna make it just slightly runny. And then in goes the flour. If you've got some pecan nuts, it's absolutely gorgeous to go in there. And then the next process is definitely just a little bit of eggs and some flour, but I'll show you right quickly. So chef, you are seasoning the meat.
Yes. Let's put salt and pepper.
Yes.
But you need to put a lot of pepper because lamb it needs a lot of help with seasoning, yani.
Yeah.
So that's why unaona naifinya ndani.
Okay.
And since we're going to cook it now, so lazima tu yani tuiforce hiyo marinade vizuri.
Okay. All right, so chef, I'm going to put this on the side and then jump right to it because I need it to just cool a little bit. Now, my dates, I had slightly boiled them. This is to soften them.
Yeah.
Or I put them in hot water, and I don't want to cook with them while they're still hot. So I'm putting them on the side just to put them to a little room temperature.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we've got the meat there. This is a perfect steak. We can see the bone is still on some of them. Yes. You got that lovely piece of bone that's usually round, smack in the center. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous.
Just the leg, huh?
Yes.
And then you just tell the butcher just to slice it.
Slice it with
sideways.
the bone on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely beautiful. Mguu iwe imekonda hivi.
I think it's the front leg.
No wonder. All right, guys, and you can see the amount of seasoning that's going on in there. Salt, pepper. I can see whole garlic, which is making me absolutely happy. We've got our oven running there. Preheat it at 180 degrees just for a few minutes until it's hot, because what I'm going to do is, instead of making the sticky toffee as a whole, I'm going to make them in little cupcake molds, just so that you can peel it, flip it, and then drizzle the toffee right on top. Which reminds me, we need to jump straight to the toffee. So I'm going to come here.
You're going to boil rice. Salt. The sugar.
The sugar, yes.
Like we did last time.
Like we did last time. But this time, we're not going to make the mistake of over-processing the sugar in that it solidifies. So we're just going to put some sugar in there. Just about a cup, that's even a lot. And then wait for it to start melting.
Okay.
I'm going to grab a muiko here. And what I'm going to do is, as that is melting, actually, let me just see that, I'm going to add butter to it, but I'm not going to over melt it. I'm going to add butter to it, and then you'll see the lovely sizzle that it's going to have there. Are you looking at the heat? You're wondering, have you even turned it on? I've turned it on. Okay. I can see yours is smoking up, so I'm going to give you some space.
Yeah.
And you're going to sear it?
Yes. So, unaonanga vile hii inakuanga na mafuta kwa side, eh?
Yes.
So what you want to do is cut lengthwise inside your mafuta.
Okay.
Because ukipika hivyo, it'll buckle up, itaanza ku
to shrivel.
So unataka kukata hapa ndo ive evenly.
Evenly. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
This is a very nice tip, guys, and it's something that I also do not do, and it's a mistake I make because you're right, it shrivels up completely,
Yeah.
making the steak even appear smaller.
Yes. So unakata tu.
Yes, and now, chef, you're not scared of this being tough.
No, now we're going to render the fat.
Now, what do you mean render?
Okay, rendering is like melting the fat.
Okay.
So utaipika, there's a way I'll show you what to do.
Okay.
We'll use the oil and also like ikianza kushika, hii mafuta itaanza kuiva, and then we'll like push it towards the oil. Sasa ita
Oh wow, it
haraka.
melted
Alafu itakuwa just a
completely.
crust yani to
I love this, and I can't wait to see how that turns out. I'm just going to move away. We can see that that's absolutely hot. Now, guys, we're down to making the toffee, which is going to be drizzled on top of our sticky toffee. It's going to take a very short time in the oven. I'm waiting for that to cool because I'd put it in some hot water. This is what we have with the dates and the oil and the sugar. We're going to add some eggs in there and then incorporate the flour. So this is going to, once you put it into the oven, it's going to be a very moist cake. Of course, chef is showing us how to melt our fat on the steak. You want to make sure that you melt it perfectly, and then we're going to create a little crust there that's just going to be so nice and crispy and delicious. I don't know if you guys love mafta on nyam chom. Us guys used to. My sister used to ask for all the fat on everybody's nyam chom, like simpateo mafta yako. You know what I mean? And it tastes delicious. So is this going to have sort of like the same flavor?
Yes, it's going to have the same flavor.
Yeah.
Okay, so already now this is the color you want now.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So the perfect sear, and then of course now you melt that fat like you said.
Yes.
And then a little
So
bit of
we're gonna
garlic
throw
in
some
the
garlic.
oil.
So just lazima uzitoe ngozi. Just crush them a bit.
So it melts into the oil.
Yeah.
All right. So as you're going with that, we're going to start with the sugar. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place a little bit of water there. And this is to melt down the sugar. And about half a cup of sugar. Now we're going to give that a mix and just wait for it to completely melt into the water. And then almost start to, you know, turn brown. So the sugar will melt. The water will begin to boil. It's going to be a perfect golden brown. And at that point is where we're going to add our butter.
Wow.
Yeah.
So make a skari mtoshanaje?
The skari metoshana half a cup, but I think I'm just going to add a little bit more because of the amount of water I put there. Okay. And then, you know, so we're going to wait for this to continue to bubble. And this is going to like make the sauce completely thick.
Yeah.
Let me just get some more sugar.
Okay, so I'm just going to add the other side of meat. And just change it. Then we're going to baste.
Now, chef, that is there going to be another process that you're going to add or do to that meat?
No.
Why is that? It remains as
is.
Huh?
Just like a normal steak.
It's just a normal steak.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're adding the garlic. Now, what process is that that you're doing right now?
This is called basting.
Basting.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that basting, or how do you do the basting?
Ni kuweka tu tunachekeza vile tumeka garlic.
Yes.
Sasa hiyo mafuta imesha infused na hiyo aroma ya garlic. So you're just putting it on top of the meat since ilikuwa ishapika first.
Okay. Now, and this you said will work even with the peels.
Yes.
Can you peel
just
the
crush
garlic?
it. You can, but you can just, you don't want it to burn sana because I'm still going to use that garlic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what are you going to use it for? A sauce?
Yeah, making a sauce with it.
I'm excited to see how that turns out. Now we're going to continue to cook the sugar until it comes to a boil. You want to bring it to a boil and then start to kind of like caramelize, chef.
Okay, sorry, one bit.
Thank you. For those who've been seeing this year, I'm telling you the number of times chef does that to me are so many. All right, so that's basically coming to a boil. It's going to reduce the amount of water that's in there as well. And then we begin to add, the cream. Now we've got our mixture cooled down, which is perfect. And at this point is where I'm going to add the eggs. So we're just going to drop in 2 eggs. Remember, we had already put, oil in that, so we have the oil based in that as well. Give that a little bit of a mix. Now remember, it's a pudding, more like a pudding, not necessarily like a cake. And then we're going to give that a lovely mix, the eggs incorporated in there. We've got our water, we've got our liquid And at this point is when you put in just a little bit of flour. We're going to put in half a cup of flour. Give that a mix. A lovely, lovely mix. Just incorporate all that flour in there. And the reason I love to use so much dates is because of the texture that it adds. It adds such a brilliant texture. If you have some pecan nuts, drop them in there.
Wow.
Add the rest of your flour. Of course, make sure it's sifted flour. And then gently just, you see, I'm not like whisking it so vigorously. I'm basically just incorporating that. Thank you, chef, for mixing that butter for me. Now, what you want to do with the sugar is wait for it to stop bubbling, you see? Now, it's going to stop bubbling at some point. Now, this is going on. A little bit more flour. Remember, we're trying to put a cup of flour, but I'm just gently adding slowly. Why? Because it's a very thick mixture.
Okay.
We have our oil acting as the, you know, as the liquid, and of course our water, and of course our, what is it called? Our eggs as well. Now, I love the consistency this has. I'm going to add the flour just one last time, and then I'll start spooning it onto the whatever. This space over here.
Okay.
So as that is going, chef, I'm going to just kindly ask you to whisk in this butter. Remember, it bubbles, so I'm just going to ask you to do it really, really quick. Thank you. And this is just basically going to add the creaminess to the butter.
Okay.
I mean, to the toffee, yeah?
Water.
It's a lot. It's a lot of water. So that's just going to go in there. It's going to incorporate and become this creamy texture.
Okay.
As I continue to mix this.
So
How's
there
that
were,
looking?
yeah, it's coming through. Alafu sasa tutaweka cream baadaye.
Tutaweka cream baadaye hata sahi, and then we're just going to leave it to boil in itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So once that butter has melted, I'm just going to come here, get a spoon, and then begin to spoon that mixture in the perfect form, and then it's going to go into the oven real quick. So I'm just going to ensure I have the exact same measurements for this sticky toffee pudding here. And then now the richness changes, the color changes in the oven because of the dates. So if you get this brown pudding, don't worry about it. That's the dates that makes it change color. If you have, I put a pinch of salt in here, by the way, in the flour, and it's self-raising that I've used. That's why I've not used any bicarbonate.
Okay.
But in case you're not using self-raising, then you want to put just a little bit of bicarbonate of, you know, and or some, what is it called? Baking powder, yeah?
So add the cream?
Add the cream, put it at high, let it boil. In fact, I didn't caramelize the sugar. Why? Because I just wanted to boil all of it together. Now, that's about perfect. I'm going to put this in the oven, 180. I wish I had some pecan nuts. Pecan nuts are very, very pricey in our market for some reason. I hate that they are, but they are. And so we're going to place this in the oven, perfectly hot.
Okay.
I'm going to remove the tray, and then chef is going to be telling us what we're doing next with that steak.